Hello, friends. Ready for another incredible story? Let's go. Inside the room, the curtains swayed with the wind as a girl slept on the bed. While she was sleeping, a dark aura enveloped her, and the continuous sound of snakes hissing filled the air. There were several snakes under her bed, and in addition to that, a crackling noise could be heard. She started to feel uneasy in her sleep, as if someone was holding her. A man with long white hair kissed her stomach. When she woke up and slowly opened her eyes, she saw a handsome white-haired man with bright yellow eyes. He was holding her in his arms as he kissed her. She wondered, what is that down there? And why does it feel wet and slippery? Suddenly, she was startled as she felt something down there. She screamed and abruptly sat up, looking around and realizing that no one was there. She then held her forehead, sighed, and said, "That scared me to death. It was just a dream." 3 months later, she visited the doctor at a hospital, explaining that her period hadn't come for 3 months. Her name was Bai Jing. She anxiously asked if her period was irregular. The doctor informed her that it wasn't irregular, but rather that she was pregnant. She was shocked and asked, "Pregnant?" She insisted there must be a mistake because she didn't even have a boyfriend and had just graduated. "How can I be pregnant?" she wondered, thinking it couldn't be from that dream she had 3 months ago, as it was only a dream. The doctor mentioned there was something else he needed to tell her. She was surprised when he showed her the ultrasound, explaining that it revealed her uterus was filled with long, dense, striped objects, which they suspected to be a snake embryo. She was stunned and asked, "A snake embryo?" Later, in her room, she sat in front of her computer, insisting that the doctor was just a fraud trying to take her money. She said she didn't believe it and began searching for information online. After searching for a long time, her room once again filled with a dark, dense aura that created a rustling sound. Hearing the noise, she quickly turned and asked, "Who's there?" But to her surprise, the room was empty. She thought she had heard something and wondered if she was just being overly sensitive. Feeling exhausted, she rested her head on the table, muttering that it was all nonsense. How could a human be pregnant with an animal's child? She then began to snore and fell asleep. As she slept, she felt something lick her face. Slowly waking up and opening her eyes, she saw the same white-haired man again, lying next to her and hissing. She was shocked, exclaiming, "It's him again, the man from my explicit dream." The man looked at her and smiled, saying, "What's this? Didn't you have enough?" The next morning, she woke up still at the table and looked around. Suddenly, she heard the man's voice instructing her to take good care of a bead that was now on the table. He explained that the bead was proof of her being his disciple and that from now on, she must live righteously and honorably. He cautioned her against letting greed influence her and revealed his name, Lu Longing, telling her to remember it well. Fearfully, she picked up the bead, repeating his name in her thoughts. Later, as food was being served, Bai Jing asked a woman about something she heard while they were eating. She was now wearing the bead disguised as a necklace. The woman told her that a mountain god was taking a wife. According to legend, mountain villages often face disasters, and the villagers struggle to survive. It's said that these hardships can be alleviated if offerings are made to the gods. Every 10 years, the villagers choose a girl under the age of 13 to marry the mountain god, hoping to prevent natural disasters and disease from striking their village. Bai Jing couldn't believe what she was hearing and asked what century they were living in to still hold onto such superstitions. She argued that natural causes were responsible for those events, and not even a mountain god could control them. Her grandmother, however, reminded her that despite her skepticism, hadn't that man haunted her since childhood? And now he had come for her. Her grandmother insisted that the mountain god sent her this dream, and if the tradition isn't upheld this year, the village will perish, so they can't simply ignore it. Bai Jing regretted ever telling her grandmother about Lu Longing. She reflected that in the past, she would have dismissed all this talk about ghosts and gods, but now things felt different. She touched the necklace around her neck, and a shiver ran through her body. Her grandmother reassured her, saying that with his help, she could be at ease and leave the matter to them. She mentioned that she had already bought the tickets, so they could leave immediately. She warned Bai Jing that if they didn't settle things with the mountain god, they shouldn't return. Bai Jing was taken aback. The following day, in the mountain village, the sun was high in the sky as a group of people sat inside a house. An elderly woman told Bai Jing that escaping was impossible since all the villagers had grown up drinking the mountain's water. As Bai Jing listened, the old woman, who was holding a little girl, explained that the mountain remembers everyone. She then revealed that she had an older sister who had been chosen as a sacrifice to the god when they were children. The adults had taken her into the mountain and left her to starve inside the temple. The child in her arms began to cry, and Bai Jing hugged her, shedding tears as well. Bai Jing assured them that everything would be all right. Bai Jing then whispered to Lu, asking if he hadn't promised during the journey that as long as she agreed to do one thing for him, he would help her. Lu reassured her, telling her not to worry. He reminded her that the others couldn't see him, so if she kept talking to him, they would think she was mad. He assured her he never said he wouldn't help. She then asked what the deal was with this mountain god. Lu explained that all gods are born from faith. The stronger the faith, the stronger the god. He said that the villagers here had lost faith in the mountain god, reducing him to a mere shadow of his former self, similar to Lu's current state. She then asked if Lu could defeat the mountain god, and Lu confidently replied that he likely could, having spent over 700 years cultivating his powers. She now glares at him, annoyed, thinking that he's uncertain, but still acting so self-assured. Just then, the old woman asks who she's talking to, making her feel awkward. She laughs it off, saying she wasn't talking to anyone. Lu moves closer and whispers in her ear, saying he has an infallible plan. Hello, this is Manu Maven. Sorry to interrupt the video, but I just wanted to remind you that many of you haven't subscribed yet. It takes a lot of effort to create these videos, so please subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon to stay updated. Lu tells her to offer herself as the bride to the mountain god instead of the little girl, and then she should wait for him to come and save her. She glares at him, warning that once this is all over, she'll make him pay for it. He's surprised but smirks, reminding her to be careful because her life now belongs to him. He then kisses her on the neck. On the day of the mountain god festival, she climbs the mountain, thinking about how detailed the sacrificial ceremony is. She enters the temple and sits down on the floor, recalling Lu's instructions. He had told her that to avoid detection by the mountain god, he couldn't accompany her up there. He gave her a pill, explaining it was a numbing pill, and instructed her to trick the god into eating it, as it would numb him. She conceals the pill in her hand. Suddenly, the door slams shut, and the ground begins to shake. She wonders if the mountain god has arrived. The door suddenly swings open, and a gust of wind blows out the candles. Bai Jing becomes frightened and starts praying. As she prays, a handsome man appears before her, leading her to believe he's the mountain god. The mountain god lifts her chin and declares that she's his bride this time, adding that he's kept her waiting for a long time. Bai Jing observes that he seems unable to guess her age, which strengthens her belief that he's the mountain god. The mountain god leans in, telling her that as her husband, he'll soon take care of her. Just as he's about to kiss her neck, she shudders and pushes him away, asking what he means by that and if he's implying something inappropriate. Bai Jing thinks to herself that although his clothes are ancient, his speech sounds more like that of an arrogant CEO. The mountain god questions why she isn't afraid and why she's not even crying. Bai Jing replies that it's because he's so handsome, and nobody's afraid of attractive people, all while trying to stay calm. The mountain god finds her response intriguing and asks what she finds attractive about him. She tells him that his nose, eyes, mouth, and everything else are handsome. He laughs, pulling her closer, and says that it's not just his face, but his entire body that's good-looking. He begins to undress, saying he will show her an even greater treasure. Bai Jing quickly tells him not to rush, explaining that if she offers herself to him, it could result in her death. She asks if she could have a bit of fun before her inevitable end. He pauses and asks what she means by fun. Bai Jing then pulls out the pill and explains that her mother gave it to her when she was brought to the mountain, saying it would enhance a particular aspect of a couple's intimacy. The mountain god looks at the pill suspiciously and asks how he can be sure she isn't trying to trick him. Realizing that he's more cautious than she anticipated, Bai Jing decides to use a seduction tactic. She places the pill in her mouth and tells him that she couldn't deceive him because he's so handsome and she's already fallen for him. The mountain god, seemingly convinced, pounces on her, pinning her down. He says that, in that case, he'll go along with it, but only if his bride consumes half the pill. He bites the pill in half from her mouth, and she quickly notices its effects taking hold. Suddenly, Bai Jing finds herself unable to move as the mountain god begins to touch her body. She wonders where Lu Longing is and why he's taking so long to rescue her. Just then, the door bursts open, and a large white snake rushes in, biting the mountain god. The mountain god, startled, asks where the snake came from, dismissing it as insignificant and questioning how it dares to interfere. Lu Longing, revealing his true form as the snake, rebukes the mountain god for calling his vile actions a good deed. The mountain god, taken aback, stares at Lu Longing, who then commands him to take a closer look and asks if he recognizes him. As the two men face each other, the mountain god admits that he knows who Lu is. He then questions if Lu thinks he can intimidate him just because he belongs to the Lu family. Lu, understanding that the mountain god has lost the villagers' faith, also knows that the mountain god possesses over 1,000 years of cultivation. Bai Jing realizes that Lu has only a few hundred years of cultivation and wonders how he could possibly defeat the mountain god. Lu confidently asserts that while he may not fear the mountain god should be cautious of him. This infuriates the mountain god, who retorts that Lu's boldness is astonishing, especially since he's here alone. The mountain god claims that even if Lu were powerful, the heavenly emperor is far away, implying that he doesn't fear any consequences. Lu challenges him to test it, and both release a powerful aura. Bai Jing feels the intense energy, recognizing that it's truly a battle between gods. Lu begins to chant a word repeatedly, causing the aura around him to grow stronger. The mountain god is initially alarmed, unsure of what Lu is chanting or what he might be summoning. He soon feels something unusual in his stomach, as if something is crawling inside him. Suddenly, the sound of hissing snakes fills the air, and Bai Jing watches in horror as snakes begin to emerge from the mountain god's eyes, nose, and mouth. He screams in pain as the snakes bite and devour him alive. Bai Jing turns away, unable to watch as the snakes consume him entirely. After the mountain god is destroyed, Lu smiles and turns to Bai Jing, who is lying on the ground, unable to move. He asks if she took the numbing pill. Bai Jing thinks it's obvious. If she hadn't taken it, she wouldn't have had the chance to ambush the mountain god. Lu remarks that the numbing pill isn't something she should have consumed, but it's fortunate that she has his children inside her, which protected her from the pill's full effects. Otherwise, she might have ended up like the mountain god, her body completely destroyed. Lu then tells Bai Jing that if she wants him to release her from the numbing effect, she must let him have a taste of her. Bai Jing thinks to herself that she knew he was up to no good, calling him a rogue in her thoughts. As Lu approaches, she blushes and he whispers in her ear, commenting on how soft she feels. He asks if she has missed him, given how long it has been since they were last together. Bai Jing, staring at him, tries to figure out what's really going on and what his true intentions are. The next morning, clothes are scattered around the room. Bai Jing thinks that she doesn't want to remember what happened the previous day as she looks at Lu. She can't believe that it was her. When Lu wakes up, he asks her how she feels and if it was better than last time. Embarrassed, she throws a pillow at him, telling him not to talk about that anymore. Lu grabs her hand, reminding her that this is what she owes him, and if she doesn't want to end up like the mountain god yesterday, she should behave herself. As he leaves, the door creaks open. Bai Jing watches him go, realizing that now is not the right time to confront him, as she still needs to follow his lead. She fears that if Lu Longing gets truly angry with her and decides to kill her, the thought is terrifying. Later, on the bus as they all head back, she thinks that she can consider this ordeal over, but wonders why her body feels cold. It seems to be the lingering effects of being the mountain god's bride. She then tells the old lady that she has dealt with the mountain god and that it was all a sham, so they no longer need to sacrifice any children. The old lady thanks the god, saying that their prayers have finally been answered. Bai Jing advises them to take control of their land and work hard to improve it. She reflects that there is always a price to pay, and when people get what they desire, they often try to avoid paying that price. Everyone is selfish, whether gods or humans. Afterward, at the divination center, Bai Jing asks her grandmother if she's certain the person they're about to meet is trustworthy, because if Lu Longing finds out, she's as good as dead. Her grandmother assures her that Igu has strong spiritual powers and will find a way to free her from him. They then enter the room where the diviner, Ingu, is sitting. Ingu notices the marks on Bai Jing's body and remarks that they're not from an ordinary man. She then tells Bai Jing that she's trapped in a difficult situation with no way to escape, even though she desperately wants to. Bai Jing's grandmother comments that she's already mentioned that she's good, and Bai Jing agrees, saying she's certain she had warned her about this before. Ingu then mentions that there's an immortal aura surrounding her, and as she looks at Bai Jing's stomach, she says there's a bond between the two of them that can't easily be broken. Bai Jing, realizing that Ingu knows about her situation, asks if there's any way to stop Lu Longing. Ingu responds that while there is a way, it's not easy. After all, Lu Longing has 1,000 years of cultivation behind him, and this isn't something that can be resolved with just a few words. Bai Jing, with a glimmer of hope in her eyes, eagerly asks what she can do. Ingu suggests that she find an extremely righteous man to marry, as that could potentially suppress Lu Longing. Bai Jing considers the idea but becomes frightened as she imagines the consequences. She trembles as she says that if Lu finds out, he'll kill them both, and she doesn't want that. Ingu then tells her that if she's not willing to take that risk, there's only one other option. Bai Jing asks what it is, and Ingu advises her to do good deeds and work on improving her own cultivation. She explains that by getting stronger, Bai Jing will be able to turn the tables on Lu and free herself from his control. Bai Jing repeats the idea of improving her own cultivation, and Ingu agrees, telling her to put her name on the list, as it will help boost her cultivation. Ingu adds that she doesn't want Bai Jing to think she didn't care for her, so she's prepared some items that might help. She hands Bai Jing a book, explaining that there are a few urgent matters she needs to address, and the contacts are inside. Ingu then urges them to go and take care of these tasks, thanking them as she pushes them out and closes the door, reminding them that time waits for no one. Outside, Bai Jing and her grandmother stand together. Bai Jing asks her what they should do next. Later, at Bai Jing's apartment, both Bai Jing and Lu Longing are present as they listen to a voice message. The voice of a man explains that it's all his grandfather's fault. 60 years ago, he cursed a pair of black snakes that were mating, and those snakes must be the ones causing harm to his family. He goes on to say that his grandmother has gone mad. His second sister and eldest brother have done unethical things and lost their minds, and his father and uncle have also recently gone off the deep end. Now, those snakes appear in his daughter's dreams, telling her they want to destroy his family. He pleads with her to save his family, calling her Lady Immortal. When the message ends, Bai Jing looks at Lu Longing and tells him she has a friend named Ingu who is a powerful diviner. Somehow, Ingu found out about them, even though Bai Jing didn't tell her anything. She figured it out on her own. Bai Jing explains that Ingu introduced her to some of these matters and mentioned that vanquishing demons can help one's cultivation grow. She asks Lu if he would consider it. Lu studies her carefully, and Bai Jing, trembling with fear, wonders if he's seen through her intentions. She fears that her plan has failed and that she's going to be killed. To her surprise, Lu agrees to her suggestion. Shocked, she asks if he's really agreeing or just being reasonable. Lu tells her that he was quite harsh with her yesterday and, since they got married, they can consider these tasks as wedding gifts to themselves. He then moves closer to her, and she, embarrassed, reminds him that she already told him not to bring up what happened the other day and asks who said they were married. At Maj Django's house, a man greets Bai Jing, addressing her as Lady Immortal. He shakes her hand, complimenting her on her youth and talent. He then looks at Lu, asking who he is. Bai Jing is surprised, wondering if the man can actually see Lu. Lu responds, introducing himself as Bai Jing's lover and saying he's here with her today to look around. Maj Django smiles and tells them they make a stunning pair and are truly blessed. Lu smiles back, thanking him for his kindness. As Bai Jing and Lu continue talking, She asks if his daughter is home and if he could bring her downstairs so she can ask about the snakes in her dreams. Maj Django agrees and invites them to follow him, explaining that his daughter is on the second floor. He calls her to come downstairs, and suddenly a strange aura fills the room. Lu Longing steps in front of Bai Jing, cautioning her to be careful, while Bai Jing realizes that the smell is familiar. It reminds her of the first time Lu entered her room. Maj Django's daughter, Shang, descends the stairs, emitting a dark, ominous aura. She rubs her eyes and asks her father who these people are. Her father explains that Bai Jing is the Lady Immortal who will help them get rid of the demons. He then asks Shang to share what the two snakes told her in her dream. Shang becomes furious, glaring at Bai Jing. Her appearance suddenly changes, taking Bai Jing by surprise. Shang then demands to know who sent Bai Jing there to interfere and lunges at her, biting her hand. Bai Jing cries out in pain as Lu Longing steps forward, pushing Shang away, causing her to fall. Shang turns to them, warning that no one is allowed to interfere and threatening to kill anyone who tries. Lu positions himself in front of Bai Jing and unleashes his power, glaring at Shang and accusing her of overstepping her bounds. He demands to know who gave her permission to act like this. Shang is suddenly overwhelmed with fear, and her body reverts to normal as she begins to sob uncontrollably. Her father explains that the two snakes must have possessed her again and pleads with Bai Jing to save his daughter. Lu Longing and Bai Jing exchange glances. Back at the house, Lu Longing tells Maj Django that this situation is complex and can't be resolved in just a day or two. Maj Django is shocked and asks how this could be happening. Lu Longing replies that they've done all they can for today and mentions that his wife has been waiting in the car for a long time and is tired. He asks Maj Django to arrange for them to stay at a hotel, assuring him that they'll return tomorrow to deal with the situation. As Lu Longing turns to leave, Maj Django offers to let them stay at his house, mentioning that he has several guest rooms. Lu Longing gives him a stern look, causing Maj Django to back down in fear. He quickly agrees to book a hotel room for them, trembling as he makes the arrangements. At the hotel, Bai Jing jumps onto the bed and sighs, wondering why they didn't handle everything earlier and why they have to stay there. Lu Longing explains that there's nothing malevolent in the house. In fact, Maj Django's family might have made offerings to an immortal, which could explain why he could see and interact with Lu as if he were human. Bai Jing thinks that Lu Longing must have been interested in this, which is why he changed into modern clothes. Otherwise, his traditional robes would have been hard to explain. However, she finds it odd. If they worship an immortal, evil spirits shouldn't be able to enter their home. She wonders if Maj Django's request for an exorcism was really necessary. Bai Jing then asks Lu if the little girl was truly acting possessed and what the strange smell in their house was all about. Lu, puzzled, asks, "Strange smell?" He then suggests that everything might have been set up before they arrived to throw them off track. He reveals that his real target this time was actually them. Bai Jing asks why, considering they have no personal grudge against Maj Django, he would do this. Lu Longing explains that sometimes, wanting someone's life has nothing to do with grudges. Besides, both of them are cultivators, and he sensed that Maj Django's family's immortal weapon was weak. He begins to undress, adding that he suspects Maj Django wants to offer their spiritual powers to the immortal they worship. Bai Jing considers that an immortal who needs to steal spiritual power from others to increase his strength is already on the path to becoming a demon. As she contemplates this, Lu finishes undressing and heads into the bathroom. Bai Jing glances at him before sitting alone on the bed while Lu takes a bath. She imagines him, thinking that despite his bad temper, his physique is incredible, comparable to those male models on TV. Lost in her thoughts, she suddenly tells herself to snap out of it. She realizes how desperate she must be if she's having these kinds of fantasies about him. Just then, Lu asks her to bring him his clothes. She knocks on the bathroom door, telling him she'll leave the clothes outside. But when Lu opens the door and stands naked in front of her, she's startled and quickly turns away, telling him to hurry and get dressed. Lu grabs her hand, pulling her into the bathroom and closing the door behind them. He pins her against the wall and asks if she can still smell anything fishy on him, demanding an answer. Blushing and turning away, she tells him there's no fishy smell and that there's nothing about him to dislike. Lu then grabs her face, pulling it closer, and says, "Is that so?" before kissing her and saying, "Let's see if you're telling the truth." As they're kissing, there's a knock at the door. Lu, holding her in his arms, angrily asks who it is. Bai Jing, shocked, thinks about how he actually kissed her and even lifted her leg. Maj Django arrives at their hotel, pleading with her to save his daughter. He explains that after they left, the entity possessed his daughter again and threatened to kill her. Bai Jing, surprised, asks if that's true. She tells him that when she was at his house, there was no sign of anything haunting it, so it's clear he's lying. Maj Django, with tears in his eyes, insists that he would never lie to her. He begs her to save his only daughter, promising he'll do anything for her as he clings to her leg. Startled, Bai Jing pushes him away just as Lu Longing emerges from the bathroom, saying it won't be difficult to save his daughter. Lu glares at Maj Django, demanding the truth, warning that even the greatest gods won't be able to save her otherwise. Maj Django, resigned, admits that there's no avoiding the consequences and that this is all just retribution. He reveals that his father once sought advice from a diviner who told him that two snakes were connected to their family and advised them to worship the snakes. The diviner claimed that the snakes would bring wealth and protection. Maj Django's father was skeptical, questioning how such good fortune could come so easily. The diviner hadn't mentioned that in return for the wealth, they would have to pay a price. The immortal snakes consumed the family's spiritual energy to make them rich, but they also demanded human essence as a sacrifice. Maj Django explains that everyone in the family, except for his grandmother, died as a result of the snake's retaliation. The others perished after having their essence drained. Outside Maj Django's home, Bai Jing asks if he's saying that his family members died for the sake of money. Maj Django admits that he wants it all to end because inviting a god into their home was easy, but getting them to leave is nearly impossible. He explains that aside from Ingu, no one else was willing to help him. Since Ingu sent them, he begs them to save his daughter, even offering to give them all his assets if they agree. Bai Jing tells him not to act this way, but as they're talking, they suddenly hear a loud scream coming from upstairs. Lu Longing tells her to wait downstairs while he goes to investigate. Bai Jing sits on the sofa, reflecting on how Lu doesn't let her get involved in important matters, wondering what else there is for her to do besides these kinds of tasks. As she sits there, a dark shadowy figure appears under the sofa, giggling ominously. A monstrous figure emerges, and Bai Jing is startled to see it. The creature comes out, and Bai Jing wonders if it's coming for her. The creature then roars and rushes toward her. Terrified, she thinks she's going to die and prays for Lu Longing to come and save her. Suddenly, a voice declares that it's foolish to go after one of his own. A powerful, bright energy surges from her body, causing the creature to be thrown back and hit the wall. Bai Jing finds herself floating in the air, with something emerging from her stomach. She opens her eyes and sees a dark, shadowy figure, realizing it's the mountain god. She wonders how he's still alive when she thought he was dead. The mountain god steps between Bai Jing and the creature, shielding her. The mountain god tells Bai Jing to move back, surprising her. He then grabs the creature by its face and throws it away. Bai Jing looks at him, puzzled as to why it's him, thinking the mountain god should be dead. She recalls that she and Lu Longing had worked together a few days ago to destroy his physical body, and now she fears he might be seeking revenge. The creature gets up and declares that anyone who interferes must die. It changes course and rushes toward Bai Jing. Both Bai Jing and the mountain god are surprised as the mountain god moves to shield her from the attack, taking the hit himself. Bai Jing calls out to him, and the mountain god tells the creature that if it doesn't leave, her husband will be killed. The creature, panicking, retreats and dissipates. The mountain god then collapses, and Bai Jing asks if he's all right and why he saved her. He reassures her that he's fine. She helps him to his feet, and he explains that when he first saw her, he realized the villagers had sent her to kill him. He admits that he consumed the pill refined by the Lu family, which destroyed his body. He adds that if it weren't for his high cultivation level, his soul would have already dissipated. Bai Jing is surprised and asks why he ate it, knowing all this. The mountain god reveals that to survive, he hid a fragment of his soul in her body, hoping she wouldn't mind. Bai Jing realizes that this is why she felt so cold. She wonders how Lu Longing, with only a few hundred years of cultivation, managed to defeat the mountain god and is surprised at how significant the numbing pill turned out to be. Bai Jing tells him she doesn't mind and asks why he ate the pill, knowing its power and whether he wasn't afraid of dying. The mountain god responds that it was his fate. Even if they hadn't killed him, the villagers wouldn't have spared him. He admits he has committed too many wrongs and was bound to face retribution sooner or later. Instead of waiting to be killed, he chose to take a chance on surviving. Bai Jing asks how he plans to live now. He smiles and says he knows she wants to free herself from Lu Longing and offers to help her. However, his essence is severely weakened at the moment. He then steps closer, suggesting that if she's willing to let him stay hidden in her body to recover, he will repay her once he regains his strength and will do anything for her. Bai Jing asks, anything? He tells her that by hiding in her body, he avoided disaster, and no matter what, she is now his benefactor. He promises not to go back on his word. Bai Jing agrees, her eyes bright with hope. She then wonders if she truly wants the mountain god to kill Lu Longing. Despite his sharp tongue and obsession with intimate things, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with him. She tells the mountain god that he doesn't have to kill Lu, but to her surprise, he has already vanished. She remarks that he disappeared too quickly. Upstairs in Xiaoling's room, Lu Longing is performing a ritual using talismans. Maj Django reassures his daughter, telling her not to be afraid and that her daddy is there for her, holding her close. The snake god is bound by the talismans, and Lu Longing commands it to reveal its true form as urgently as a decree. Afterward, Lu Longing tells them that the entities came out to do evil with less than 200 years of cultivation. He says that since they realize their wrongdoings, he will let them off this time. He then glares at them, offering them a deal. If they surrender and follow him, he will give them proper rolls and incense, asking for their decision. Both snakes transform into their true forms and express their gratitude for being spared. Bai Jing observes, thinking that one's cultivation truly depends on their background. It's impressive how easily Lu handled them. Lu Longing hands her a talisman, telling her that she will be able to use these too in the future. Bai Jing takes it, feeling like the situation is almost domestic, as if a man is working outside while the woman manages the household. Lu Longing says they've resolved the matter and that ill-gotten gains will eventually disappear. There's no such thing as a free lunch. He then advises Maj Django to take good care of things from now on. Maj Django thanks them for saving his family as they leave the house. Outside, Lu Longing pauses and asks Bai Jing if Chang Chong caused her any trouble while she was downstairs. She wonders if he's discovered the truth about the mountain god and admits it to him. Lu asks how she managed to handle the situation, considering she has no power. She explains that she didn't handle it. Someone else stepped in to help. The person told her to find her husband and then left. Lu studies her, and she insists it's the truth and that she's not lying. He tells her to go back and contact Yanghua, informing her that the situation has been taken care of. He also offers to teach her how to draw a talisman when they return, so she can protect herself in the future. Bai Jing wonders if he's really letting the matter go, and if that's the end of it. Lu then adds that he doesn't want other demons to harm his petite little wife, making her blush. At home, Lu Longing meditates while Bai Jing stands outside, blaming Yinggu for the situation. She wonders if Yinggu meant that things would escalate if she absorbed some essence. She then questions why her face is covered in pockmarks, as if she's been possessed by a demon. Yinggu explains that the snake babies inside her are protesting and that she can cure it by absorbing some of Lu Longing's essence. Bai Jing is surprised and sighs, saying she really doesn't want to go looking for him. But if she doesn't, her face will become a mess. Just then, Lu Longing notices her and tells her to come over, which shocks her. She walks in, thinking about how she's going to ask him for some of his essence because his kids are hungry and want it. The whole situation sounds strange to her. When he asks why she's just standing there and reminds her that he already said he'd teach her how to draw talismans, he grabs her hand, explaining that talisman paper alone doesn't have much effect. The stronger the spell, the stronger the talisman becomes. He says that since her cultivation level is low, He'll teach her the easier ones first. He then tells her to loosen her grip so the energy can flow better. As she feels his breath on her face, she thinks about how close he is and wonders how she can loosen her grip like this. Lu looks at her and then pulls her closer, saying it seems she can only concentrate this way. Embarrassed, she pushes him away, blurting out that she needs some of his spiritual essence. She immediately regrets how she said it. Lu longing pulls her closer, teasingly asking, "My spiritual essence? If you wanted it that badly, why didn't you say so earlier?" He then pulls down her face mask and kisses her, while she worries that her grandmother is still outside. A few days later, at Mount Changbai, Bai Jing is holding onto Lu Longing's arm, asking if he really said he would bring her home and if he's treating her like she's a daughter-in-law to his family. She tells him he's making her feel anxious. Just then, two children run up to him, calling him third brother and happily saying that he's back. They tell him how much they missed him. One of them is Lu Longong, and the other is Luia. Bai Jing looks at them, thinking they must be his siblings and noting how cute they are. She gazes at them warmly as they pull on his hand, asking how long he's staying this time and if he'll play with them. Luia begs him not to leave again. When he asks if their second sister is home, they both nod, saying that she's been eagerly waiting since she heard he was coming back. One of his siblings stares at Bai Jing, surprising her. Then, Lu Longong whispers in Lu Longing's ear, asking who she is and commenting that she looks ugly. Bai Jing is hurt by his words and picks him up, telling him that her name is Bai Jing and that she is his brother's disciple. She thinks of him as a rude little brat and takes back everything nice she thought about him, wondering where he learned such manners. Just then, someone from the hallway asks if Longing is back. A very beautiful woman walks up to him, saying she wants to take a good look at him and asking how he has been lately. She then turns to Bai Jing, asking who she is and calling her Lady Wai Hua. Bai Jing, confused, asks who that is. Lu's eyes darken as he tells his sister she's mistaken, explaining that Bai Jing is his disciple. He calmly adds that he brought Bai Jing back this time to meet her and their elder brother. His sister laughs, saying her memory must be clouded because she was so happy he was coming back. She then invites them inside. At the table, his sister tells Bai Jing to stay for a few days since she came back with Lu Longing this time. She tells Bai Jing to treat the place as her own and to let her know if anything is missing. Lu Longing informs his sister that they'll be leaving soon since Bai Jing needs to return to school. His sister asks Bai Jing if she's still in university, and Bai Jing confirms that she is, mentioning that she's studying painting in the capital. His sister smirks, asking if her paintings are of the Western kind, the ones with nudes. She teasingly suggests that if Bai Jing has the time, she should draw one for her. Everyone looks at her in surprise. That night, Bai Jing is dazed when Lu Longing suddenly takes off his shirt in front of her. She asks why he's undressing and tells him to put his clothes back on, reminding him that his room is next door and questioning why he's in her room. As she tries to pull his shirt back down, Lu Longing says, "Didn't you study Western painting? Why don't you draw one of me?" Bai Jing, flustered, tells him to put on his clothes and listen to her instructions. She then starts guiding him, telling him how to pose, raising his hand a little and positioning his legs just right, while praising him for following her directions. She thinks that Lu Longing is sexy even without revealing much, which is just what she expected from someone with artistic skills. She wonders why it feels like a scene from a movie, but decides not to dwell on it. Lu Longing continues posing as she paints him, and she awkwardly tells him it's okay if he wants to talk. He rubs her leg with his foot, asking if something is wrong and if she's having trouble concentrating on her painting while looking at him. She tells him to stop moving, but he encourages her to keep painting. Frustrated, she snaps that she can't paint like this and ends up breaking her brush. Lu suggests she could also draw directly on his body as he stands up. She asks why he's undressing when she hasn't finished the drawing yet. Then, she asks if the Lady Inqua his sister mentioned is the one causing trouble. Lu Longing tells her not to think about others at night and to focus only on him. The next morning at breakfast, he hands her food, saying she needs to replenish her energy. Bai Jing thinks it's his fault she's so exhausted, but suddenly a horn sounds, surprising everyone. A woman enters, announcing that something important is about to happen. Lu's sister demands to know who she is and why she's there. The woman explains that her master saw a picture of their third master and sent her to propose marriage. Everyone is shocked, and Lu Longing is confused. In her room, Bai Jing notices her painting is missing and wonders where it could have gone, thinking it might have something to do with the painting she made. Just then, Lu's sister angrily addresses the woman, Hang Sanyang, asking what kind of master she serves, daring to propose marriage to her third brother considering her low status. Hang responds confidently, stating that her new master is an immortal who was granted a title by a prince and was once an imperial consort. She insists that her master is a perfect match for their family. Suddenly, the door opens, and a carriage approaches, carrying a little girl ringing a bell. The carriage stops in front of the house, and everyone bows as a beautiful woman steps out. She tells Lu's sister not to argue with the servants, explaining that she saw a portrait of the young master last night and immediately fell in love with him. She hopes Lu's sister will consider arranging a marriage between her and the third young master. Lu's sister explains that Lu Longing is still under a conviction, making it an inappropriate time for marriage. The woman says she's willing to wait for him, hoping Lu's sister will give them a chance. She adds that a marriage between their families would allow them to control most of the immortal halls in the northeast region. Lu's sister looks at Lu Longing, seeking guidance on how to handle the situation. Lu Longing gazes at Bai Jing, who wonders why he's looking at her since she's just an observer. The younger siblings watch the scene, enjoying the drama. Lu's sister then coughs and tells the woman that she can't make a decision on this matter and will discuss it with her brother. If he agrees, they will prepare the bride's dowry and visit Her Highness's mansion properly. The woman agrees and leaves, but not before turning back and giving Lu and Bai Jing a menacing look. She reveals that she saw Lu Longing and his disciple in bed together last night and warns Lu's sister to be careful, as it could damage Lu Longing's future if others find out. Both Lu's sister and Bai Jing are shocked. Bai Jing thinks this woman is meddling in other people's private affairs and considers her a sneaky troublemaker. After the woman leaves, Lu's sister tells Lu Longing to come to her room for a moment. At the table, Bai Jing sighs and asks the younger siblings if Lu Longing likes women like that, wondering if that woman is his type. Lu Longong tells her that their third brother prefers petite and cute women, not those who are stronger than him. He adds that their third brother wouldn't like someone he doesn't like. Bai Jing quickly stands up and asks Lu Longong if he likes the woman from earlier. He replies that he doesn't. Bai Jing laughs, saying she knew it, and then asks if he likes her instead. Lu Longong studies her and says no, because she's too ugly. Bai Jing calls him a little brat and says she's not cute at all. Just then, Luia holds Bai Jing's hand and asks if she really likes their brother that much. Bai Jing, embarrassed, denies it, explaining that she's his disciple and that they're not even the same species. She tells them not to make assumptions. Luia then offers to read Bai Jing's fortune. She examines Bai Jing's hand and says her future is complicated. Bai Jing is stunned, and Luia explains that it might be because her immortal affinity is strong, or because her future spouse is an immortal, or perhaps she was a great eminent immortal in a past life. However, Luia says the latter is unlikely, as Bai Jing is just immortal right now. She adds that if Bai Jing had been a powerful immortal in a previous life, an eminent immortal would have chosen her as a disciple, not an earth immortal like their third brother. Luia then mentions that those who have committed many crimes would likely not have been accepted. If not for the intervention, he probably would have been executed by now. Bai Jing asks what crime he committed, but Gayer admits she doesn't know the full story. She explains that an immortal once came to arrest the third brother, but the elder brother stepped in to protect him. After that, she isn't sure what happened, but somehow, the third brother became an immortal who now watches over their family. She then wonders aloud if Bai Jing is the one who saved the third brother, and if that makes her his benefactor. At the L Mansion, Bai Jing lies in a room, contemplating the idea that she might be Lu Longing's benefactor, even though he's always the one rescuing her. She worries about the harm she might cause him every time they're entangled, especially when she thinks about his unborn children. She starts to wonder if she has become a homewrecker, disliked by everyone. Suddenly, there's a knock at the door, and a large white snake slithers into the room. Startled, she asks why Lu Longing has reverted to his original form. Lu, in his snake form, tells her to get ready to leave, accusing her of being cold-hearted since he was planning to marry someone else. He sarcastically suggests that she must have slept well, hinting that his little brother didn't satisfy her enough. Bai Jing, annoyed, tells him to shut up, calling him a pervert, but he insists they need to leave and carries her on his head. As they travel through the forest, Bai Jing, in pain, mutters about how cruel she feels, even though she sees herself as kind and gentle. She quietly wonders if she can still choose to marry Lu Longing instead of just being his disciple. Their journey is interrupted by a foul smell and the sound of squeaking coming from a group of creatures climbing a tree. Lu Longing, curious, transforms back into his human form and asks Hang Sanyang if she caused the smell. A creature looks at them as Hang Sanyang transforms herself, telling Lu Longing not to mock her. She explains that she came to stop him today because she knew he was planning to leave Mount Changbai. She asks for his help, explaining that her son was killed by Zudi when he went out to fetch meat for her after she was injured. On his way to the mountain, a group of humans captured him, killed him with pitchforks, and burned him alive. She vows to serve Lu Longing if he avenges her son's death. Lu Longing agrees to help, acknowledging that his sister will likely be upset about his sudden departure. Hang Sanyang provides details about Zig's residence in the village and warns Lu Longing not to underestimate him due to his high cultivation and skills. Later, Lu Longing stands at a cliff overlooking the village. He and Bai Jing walk toward the zoo mansion when Bai Jing coughs, asking about the strange smell. Lu Longing tells her it's the smell of pigs and that there isn't an immortal in this village, only a demon. Just then, they hear a voice from inside the mansion saying, "Don't hit me. I'll go." Suddenly, the mansion's door bursts open, and an old man steps outside, telling a beaten-up woman to hurry and buy him some wine, threatening her not to return if she doesn't bring any back. The man then notices Lu Longing and Bai Jing and warns them that he'll cut them down if they keep staring. Bai Jing boldly asks if he considers himself a man since he beats up women. The man looks at her with interest, commenting that she's a pretty thing and would do nicely to keep his bed warm. Lu Longing tells the man that he's here to kill him. The man becomes serious and mocks Lu Longing, asking if he thinks he can kill him alone, calling him a long worm, with only a few hundred years of cultivation. Lu Longing calmly suggests the man give it a try and displays a bit of his power. Bai Jing wonders why the man called Lu Longing a long worm and thinks he might be in danger. The man confidently says he'll take care of Lu Longing first and then enjoy Bai Jing. He drinks a bowl of water, and suddenly his body transforms into a boar as he screams and roars. Bai Jing realizes this is bad and wonders if this is how the man summons his immortal. The beast charges at them, but Lu Longing steps in front of Bai Jing, and there's a loud crash as the beast strikes him. Bai Jing calls out Lu Longing's name, and from the smoke, Lu Longing emerges in his true snake form. Both the beast and Lu Longing hiss and growl at each other before clashing in battle. Bai Jing thinks it's the first time she's seen Lu Longing fight in his true form. As the two creatures battle fiercely, she worries about what she'll do if Lu Longing loses. After a while, both combatants are exhausted and injured when the man, back in his human form, brags about his 1,000 years of cultivation and questions how he could lose to someone like Lu Longing. Lu Longing wraps around him and squeezes, breaking the man's bones. The man falls to the ground, and Lu Longing, equally worn out, collapses and reverts to his human form. Bai Jing runs to him, finding him severely injured. She begins to cry as she hugs him, telling him he can't die. She checks his pulse and is relieved to find it still beating. Lu Longing weakly wipes away her tears, telling her he's fine and that there's no need to mourn for him. He then suggests that if she cares for him, they should find a nice place tonight where she can properly show him her love. Bai Jing punches him, asking how he can be so indecent even in this situation. Just as he faints, she desperately tries to wake him up. In an express hotel room, Bai Jing expresses concern about the lack of good hotels nearby and Lu Longing's severe injuries. She suggests asking Yinggu for help, as she might know how to heal him. Lu Longing had transformed into a small snake, feeling helpless. Bai Jing wished she could have done something to help him, even if it was just a little. Suddenly, there was a loud knock on the door, startling her. Two elderly men emerged from the shadows. One of them commented that if it weren't for Hang Sanyang's request, he would never have come to such a remote place. The other man cautioned him to watch his words and addressed him as Old Bai. One of the men greeted Bai Jing, explaining that Hang Sanyang had called them there. He introduced himself and his companion, an immortal doctor who could heal her master. Bai Jing was surprised by their presence. The doctor scolded Bai Jing for not inviting them inside sooner, but the other man defended her, saying the doctor had a short temper and she shouldn't take his words too seriously. Bai Jing invited them in and asked them to help Lu Longing. The old doctor reprimanded Bai Jing, but she humbly admitted her mistake and pleaded with them to ease Lu Longing's pain. The doctor picked up Lu Longing while Bai Jing watched anxiously, tears welling up as she witnessed the doctor's intense focus. Bells rang, and Bai Jing wondered if everything would turn out all right. After some time, Lu Longing thanked the men for their help. Bai Jing inquired about the immortal doctor, and the man explained that they had removed the demonic aura from Lu Longing's body, but he would need to rest for another 2 days and would likely have a high fever. Bai Jing expressed her gratitude and offered them tea, but the man declined, suggesting they chat the next day. He mentioned that he didn't have much time left in this world and wanted to pass something on to them. Bai Jing asked what he intended to give them, but he left without answering. Lu Longing then pulled Bai Jing close, thanking her for saving him from further suffering. Flustered, Bai Jing told him to let go, reminding him that he had just recovered. Lu hinted at a special kind of repayment, which embarrassed Bai Jing. He held her close, suggesting they spend an unforgettable night together, but she refused such a repayment. In the hotel room, Bai Jing and Lu Longing lay in bed together. Bai Jing slowly woke up, wondering what time it was. She noticed that Lu Longing no longer felt feverish, indicating that his fever had broken. Watching him sleep, she found him gentle and childlike, wishing he could always be this well-behaved. As she leaned closer, her fingers brushed against his lips, and Lu Longing playfully bit her finger, startling her. Bai Jing jokingly asked if he was a dog, to which Lu Longing teased her about trying to steal a kiss. Embarrassed, Bai Jing denied it, explaining that she was merely admiring his nose. Lu Longing playfully pushed her down, telling her that if she wanted to kiss him, she could do so openly. He declared that his body belonged to her, which surprised Bai Jing. When Lu Longing kissed her, she decided to relax and enjoy the moment. Later, at a coffee shop, Bai Jing asked the old man if he intended to entrust Old Bai to them. The old man explained that their meeting was a matter of fate, but revealed that his time in the human realm was coming to an end. Despite his stern exterior, he assured them that he was a kind-hearted person who kept his promises. Bai Jing thought of him as a fierce but lovable grandfather. The old man expressed his wish to do something for Old Bai one last time, hoping they could help fulfill his long-held dream. He entrusted Old Bai to them, giving them a paper with his name. Bai Jing, curious, asked if the two elderly men were twins because of their striking resemblance. Lu Longing explained that when an immortal spends a long time with their disciple, they form a strong bond. He revealed that the old man had once been a highly regarded immortal from the heavens who had come down to earth and developed a connection with Old Bai over multiple lifetimes. Bai Jing was astonished to learn that the old man had been such a distinguished immortal. Lu Longing clarified that she was still far from reaching that level. Bai Jing then asked if helping Old Bai fulfill his long-held wish would enable him to ascend as well. Lu Longing explained that when the time comes for eminent immortals to return to heaven, any lingering attachments to the earth could prevent their ascension. So only they can truly understand what Old Bai's long-cherished wish entails. Suddenly, some girls screamed, grabbing their attention. Bai Jing wondered if they could see Lu Longing, and both turned to look. When they got back to the room, Lu Longing asked Bai Jing if she was still upset, to which she responded, "Who said I'm upset?" She clarified that she was just a bit taken aback that he didn't hide himself while they were outside. Bai Jing then voiced her frustration about him flirting everywhere and wondered if his ego had inflated from all the compliments. Sitting on the bed, clearly annoyed, she asked if she had said anything wrong. Lu, looking a little downcast, admitted that he was at fault. He then picked her up, sat on the bed with her on his lap, and hugged her from behind. Lu explained that because they had been together for so long, their auras had merged, allowing others to see him too. Bai Jing asked if he was blaming her, but he reassured her, hugging her tightly and asking her not to be upset anymore. She suggested that since people could now see him, he could find someone else to be his disciple because she didn't want to remain one forever. Lu asked what she wanted to be instead of his disciple. Bai Jing thought about whether her involvement with him was more of a help or a hindrance and expressed her desire not to see him in danger again. She told him she didn't want to be anything to him because it would be better not to be involved. Lu turned her around and embraced her, telling her not to listen to others' words, and reassured her that his future was independent of her and wouldn't be affected by her. He mentioned that he had ways to handle his second sister and suggested that being with him wouldn't impact his cultivation. Bai Jing remarked that he was the one who had seduced her, and he denied doing anything inappropriate when she questioned him. Meanwhile, in another room, there was a creaking noise at the door, followed by loud banging that startled a girl who was sleeping. She asked who was there but got no response, wondering if it was just a dream. As she tried to fall back asleep, bloody footprints began to appear, moving toward her bed. A girl with her hair covering her face then appeared at the foot of the bed where she was sleeping. The next day at school, Bai Jing arrived, announcing her return. She thought about how it felt like she was finally back to being a normal person, even if just for a short while. Lu Longing accompanied her, drawing the attention of some girls who admired his looks. Bai Jing wished she hadn't brought him along. Then, Ya, a cute and beautiful girl, approached Bai Jing, expressing how much she had missed her and wondering why she had arrived so early. Lu Longing introduced himself as Bai Jing's husband, which surprised Ya. Bai Jing quickly led Ya away, pretending to be tired while Ya asked about his siblings and if he had any. Inside the dorm, Ya mentioned feeling lonely when she was alone, especially at night, saying it felt eerie and scary. Lu Longing sensed a dark presence in the room, prompting him to grab Bai Jing's hand and tell her that the room was haunted. He used his power to show Bai Jing the footprints and marks that indicated something had entered the room. Bai Jing was frightened, realizing that something might have come in during their summer break. Lu Longing asked Ya if she had heard any strange noises recently. Ya recalled hearing knocking but found nothing when she checked. Lu remarked that she had allowed it inside. Bai Jing dismissed Lu Longing's concerns, suggesting it was probably just dust in the closed room. That night, Bai Jing and Lu Longing sat in the room discussing the situation. Lu Longing suggested that they confront whatever they had let in to resolve the problem. Bai Jing compared their situation to being in a tiger's den, finding everything unsettling. Lu Longing hugged her to provide comfort, but Bai Jing asked him to promise not to do anything else. Suddenly, Lu blew in her ear, and then a gust of wind and a loud banging sound followed. Lu indicated that the entity was in the room. Both Lu Longing and Bai Jing hid in a closet. Inside the closet, Lu Longing grabbed her butt, making her blush. She was about to say something, but Lu shushed her, telling her to stay quiet. In the room, there was a rustling noise as the demon emerged from the ground, producing a creepy creaking sound. It stood up, startling both Lu Longing and Bai Jing. Bai Jing tried to move back a little, saying that there was no grudge between them, but she accidentally bumped her head against the door, making a noise. The ghost suddenly turned toward the closet. Bai Jing glanced at it and saw that the demon had no face, making her even more terrified. Lu told her that it was a weak ghost, so it was a good chance for her to use her talisman. Lu then opened the door and pushed Bai Jing out, telling her to go ahead. Bai Jing protested, saying she didn't want to because it was too frightening. She fell and turned back, telling Lu that he had forced her out. She looked back and saw that he was no longer there, calling him a heartless man. The demon approached her, and she trembled with fear, thinking she was going to die. Lu said she needed to experience this sooner or later and instructed her to place the talisman on the demon's face to make its soul disperse. Bai Jing complained that he made it sound easy, but the real problem was that she was too scared to do it. Lu sarcastically remarked that it seemed she was only useful in bed and promised not to ask her to deal with evil spirits again if she admitted it. Bai Jing snapped back that he was the bed warmer, then stood up and ran toward the demon, telling herself that it was just sticking a talisman on it and asking how hard it could be. She then placed the talisman on the demon's head, commanding it to leave. The demon screamed in pain as a flash of lightning appeared. Bai Jing watched as the demon's body slowly dissolved. Trembling, she said it was finally gone. Lu clapped for her, saying he had made the right judgment and that his Jing Jing could handle anything well. She scolded him, saying he had the nerve to say that because he had pushed her out without warning. Lu told her that since she was his disciple, there were some things that couldn't be avoided once they started. He warned that there might be even more terrifying things than a ghost woman in the future. He asked her what she would do if he wasn't there next time, suggesting that the one who might die could be his Jing Jing. She accused him of twisting his words to manipulate her. Lu reassured her that everything was fine now and told her not to be upset. He said he would give her a little love as a reward. He then grabbed her face and kissed her, surprising her as she wondered why he was using his tongue. After they share a kiss, she asks him to explain what he meant by saying she was being targeted right now. Lu Ling explains that if the ghost doesn't have a personal grudge against her, then someone must have ordered it to harm her. The ghost appeared to have been dead for quite some time, so it's unlikely it harbors a deep grudge, which means the only explanation is that someone is behind it. She insists she hasn't wronged anyone, so who would want to harm her? He responds that even though she wasn't aware of any conflict, now that this has happened, they need to be more vigilant moving forward. She realizes he's right. If her family unknowingly upset someone, she would be the one to pay the price. At that moment, her phone rings, displaying a call from her prince, Wangon. Seeing this, Lu moves closer, feeling suspicious. He asks why she isn't answering, and she seems a bit caught off guard. He then tells her to put the call on speaker, as jealousy starts to fill the air. She thinks it's an old and bothersome love affair and wonders why she forgot to change his contact name. She answers the call, greeting him, while Lu listens intently. The caller, Wangon, tells her his birthday is approaching and invites her to his party. She hesitates, saying she doesn't think she will be available, but he cuts her off, saying it's settled and that he'll pick her up tomorrow. He hangs up before she can finish, leaving her frustrated. She reassures Lu that she definitely won't go, and that Yai will give him a red packet on her behalf. Lu, now visibly upset, asks about her prince as he moves closer to her. She explains that at first it seemed promising, but she soon realized they weren't compatible, and she swears they were never together. He challenges her by asking why she doesn't go then. He suggests that not only should she go, but she should also dress beautifully. She is taken aback by his response. The next day, while shopping on a busy street, she asks Lu why he suddenly wanted her to buy a new dress, noting that it should be fine to wear anything. Lu retorts that she was eager to leave his side, but he's confident that nothing could make her happier than his little brother. Embarrassed, she calls out his name loudly, catching the attention of bystanders. Just then, a luxury sports car pulls up, and a man steps out, greeting her and apologizing for the wait. He turns out to be her classmate, Wang Zuan. She tells him it's fine since he just arrived too. He compliments her, saying she looks pretty today, and asks if she dressed up for him. She laughs awkwardly. He mentions that it's normal for girls to be shy and suggests they go somewhere more private to talk inside the car. As they drive, she notices they aren't heading towards the restaurant and asks where they're going. He replies that he wants to take her somewhere before they eat. He then mentions hearing from you that she has a boyfriend now and admits he was about to give up on her, but since she dressed up today, he believes he still has a chance. She is surprised when he insinuates that women only dress up for those they like, suggesting she dressed up today to seduce him. She thinks to herself that Lu bought the dress, and it wasn't her choice. He then stops the car and asserts that his family is wealthy and he knows her true intentions, suggesting they skip the formalities. As she looks at him, he suddenly moves towards her, saying he won't disappoint her. Terrified, she feels her pendant glow, and without thinking, she punches Wang, causing him to fall back. She wonders if Lu Longing lent her his power. Lu Longing, in spirit, reprimands Wang, asking how he dares to touch a woman as if he has a death wish. Inside the car, Wang Zuan, enraged, calls her a vile woman and demands to know how she dared to strike him. He then grabs her by the hair and slams her head into the window, threatening her, saying that if she thinks he doesn't understand how gold-digging women like her operate, she's wrong. He threatens that if she thinks he won't use his money to kill her, she's underestimating him. She looks at him, realizing how dangerous men can be when they lose control and knows she has to act. At that moment, Lu Ling transforms into his snake form, and Wang becomes petrified, calling him a monster. He tries to open the door, but it's locked. She feels a sense of relief, realizing Lu Longing is protecting her. Lu then lunges at Wang, hissing menacingly. Wang screams in terror as Lu wraps around him, squeezing tightly. Wang pleads for her help. Ye intervenes, telling Lu Longing to stop, warning that Wang will die if he doesn't. Lu, however, hisses at her as well. She is terrified, wondering why this is happening, realizing she wanted Lu Longing to teach Wang a lesson, but never expected he would kill him. Just then, she hears the sound of bones cracking as Lu kills Wang. He then transforms back into his human form, asking her if she's okay and if she regrets what happened. She looks at him in shock, asking how he could kill someone so easily. He reminds her that she wasn't this upset when he killed Judd, but now she's angry because he killed her ex. She argues that Ziggy deserved to die for taking so many lives, but Wang Zuan didn't deserve to die, even if he was disrespectful to her. She warns him that Wang's family is powerful, and if they investigate this, she will never have peace. She then resigns herself, saying she will turn herself in, as she's not meant to be his disciple in this life, and they should talk about this in another life. He asks if she's angry on his behalf. He then assures her not to worry, saying he has a solution. She asks what solution he could have now that Wang is dead, and if he can bring people back to life. He surprises her by agreeing, and she asks if he's serious as he starts removing his clothes. He covers her eyes, telling her not to look and that it will be over soon. She wonders if he really can raise the dead and if he's truly that powerful. At the restaurant, a group is sitting at a table, enjoying dinner. Ye asks her what happened on her way there and if it was really that intense. Wang Xuan explains to everyone that a cat suddenly appeared on the road, so he swerved to avoid it, but ended up hitting a tree. He says it's a relief that everyone is okay, as it would have been terrible if anyone had been hurt because of him. Ye asks Bai Jing if Wang is telling the truth, and she nods while casting a glance at Lu, thinking that this is all his doing and wondering what's really happening. Lu admits that he altered Wang's memories and attitude, making him much more agreeable. Just then, a conversation nearby catches their attention. Some people are discussing how, despite being a boutique hotel, it's also famous for the reservoir behind the mountains. The other person asks what's so special about the reservoir, and both of them listen in. The speaker reveals that many people, particularly women, have died there, with their bodies dumped in the reservoir, and that the stench of decaying corpses can still be smelled miles away. He adds that at night, you can hear the eerie screams of the dead women. Lu Longing becomes intrigued, while she continues eating, lost in thought. They were all heading to the reservoir when Jing's classmates started teasing her, asking if she hadn't expected to be bold enough to join them. Another classmate commented that now she has a handsome boyfriend, so of course, she would come along. Maybe she came because she's afraid a female ghost might snatch her boyfriend away. Jing thought to herself that she'd like to see which ghost would dare to take him from her. At that moment, Ya, surprised, called out Jing's name. When Jing turned around, Ya asked if the man she was looking at was her boyfriend. Jing felt embarrassed when she saw Lu Longing in the water, undressing. She walked over to him and told him to behave himself since they were still in public and she needed to maintain her reputation. She urged him to hurry and get out of the water, wondering what was going on with him. When he turned to her with a seductive look, she couldn't help but wonder what he was up to. Who could resist him like that? Just then, Lu Longing moved closer to her, and she asked what he was doing. He embraced her. As she tried to tell him that this wasn't the right place for that, while he was holding her, he suddenly transformed into a demon. She was shocked. Lu Longing quickly intervened, attacking the demon. The demon vanished, calling her Lady Silver Flower, as it disappeared. Confused, she wondered why it had called her that and how it had become a ghost in the first place. Lu told her she was asking too many questions and that he would explain later. He advised her to return first, assuring her that he would join her after handling the situation. She was startled when she realized that ghosts were now hunting down her friends at the hotel. Back in her room, she paced around, thinking that ever since she met Lu Longing, She had been constantly encountering strange, ghostly events. It seemed like all of these spirits were targeting her. She wondered aloud who this Lady Silverflower was and why they kept referring to her by that name. Suddenly, she heard a rustling sound, and Lu Longing entered, covered in dust and debris. She looked at him and asked if he was back and if Ya and the others were okay. She also wanted to know what those creatures at the reservoir were. He explained that they were mountain demons, a type of spirit created by the dead to lure people into falling for them. Once they succeeded, they would consume the human's life force. He then expressed disbelief that she had almost been deceived by them. She was fortunate that he had arrived in time. Otherwise, she might have ended up just like them. She pointed out that it was only because they had transformed into him. She also inquired about her friends. He reassured her that he had arrived just in time, and they would all be fine after a night's rest. Relieved, she said it was good that everyone was okay and mentioned that she wanted to ask him something. Suddenly, Lu began hearing voices accusing him of being dirty and unworthy of her. They called him disgusting and a low-class demon inferior to them. He fell silent. Jing asked him what was wrong and why he had suddenly gone quiet. Her voice snapped him out of it. He looked at her and said he felt dirty, asking her to comfort him a little. With tears in his eyes, she looked at him, surprised. Later, as they were walking on Mount Xiang, Jing remembered that Ingu had called and mentioned that a powerful immortal was undergoing his tribulation at Mount Xiang, and she wanted Jing to form a bond with him. Jing thought that Lu Longing didn't know about this yet, and if he found out she had lied, she wasn't sure what kind of trouble he might cause. She also pondered over what he had said earlier. Was she really able to handle him when he was like that? Just then, Lu called out to her and explained that usually, when immortals descend to the mortal realm to undergo their tribulation, they are assisted by local immortals who have been granted titles. So why would this particular immortal be on this mountain alone? She replied, asking how she could know, reminding him of how things were when Ingu gave orders. She then asked if all immortals were granted titles, and which immortal had bestowed one upon his family. He informed her that Lady Silverflower was the one who had given titles to all the snake immortals in his family. She thought about Lady Silverflower again, as he explained that she was one of the main gods among mortals. He added that she and two other gods were responsible for all the immortal families in the world. Jing asked if she was really that powerful and, if she was the main god, what had happened to her. He turned to her and revealed that Lady Silverflower had been exiled for breaking a taboo. She was about to ask more questions when they heard a rustling sound from behind a bush. A chicken emerged from the bush. They both stared at it. The chicken then hopped onto the ground, asking if she was by Jing. Jing asked if he was the eminent immortal and then laughed, calling him a chicken. He became angry and leaped at her, pecking her as she ran, crying out in pain. A few moments later, he told her that if they hadn't been destined to have a relationship, then he wouldn't have chosen her at all. She apologized, crying, and begged for his forgiveness, explaining that she had just been surprised by his true form. He pecked her again, telling her that wasn't his true form. He said that as his disciple, she should at least be able to recognize his real form. She replied that she was a weak disciple and apologized for not being able to see his true form. The chicken sighed, then transformed into a handsome man, revealing that his true form was a phoenix. Since they had lived many lives together, he would let her off this time. He instructed her to sign a contract, and after that, she should take him back to recharge his energy. He explained that he had used up all his powers during his tribulation. He added that he would likely have starved to death if she had arrived any later. She promised to serve him delicious food once they got home and vowed not to abandon him. No matter what, he insisted that she feed him 3 meals a day, including a beef offering. She asked if chickens weren't supposed to be vegetarians, and he pinched her cheeks, warning her not to call him a chicken again. He then told her his name was Funkishin before dissipating. Jing remarked that they weren't finished talking and wondered why all immortals were always in such a hurry. She remarks that the mountain god behaved similarly, and now this phoenix is acting the same way. When Longing arrives and asks where the phoenix is, she tells him it's gone. He then inquires about the chicken feed, to which she responds that he should keep it, adding that the beef is too expensive. Later, in their bedroom, She returns and tells Lu to leave, as there isn't much happening there. He asks if she's dismissing him because she has no more use for him. She quickly assures him that she wouldn't dare do such a thing. She then opens the door and is surprised to find Yao standing there. Yao, looking angry, asks if she wants to go out and play tomorrow, but then tells her to play with her boyfriend instead. Confused by Yao's sudden change in behavior, Jing asks what she means by that. Yao sharply replies that it's exactly what it sounds like, as if Jing is too stupid to understand. Jing, taken aback, asks if she did something to make Yao angry and points out that they seemed fine before. She wonders why Yao is so upset. After they return from the reservoir, Yao tells Jing that she has always been annoyed with her. Yao admits that Jing has always been better at everything, more beautiful, smarter, and even more popular with the people Yao likes. After all these years, Yao confesses that she's had enough of it. Jing is shocked as Yao tells her to stop saying her name, claiming it's disgusting to hear. Yao then threatens that she will soon have everything Jing has, and as the room fills with a dark aura, she leaves, hitting L, longing on her way out. Jing, devastated, wonders what happened to her best friend. As Yao leaves, she thinks to herself that she wants Jing to suffer a life more miserable than death. Jing, still reeling from the encounter, turns to Lu, who explains that humans are often consumed by their desires, and this is just the way it is. He adds that Yao has been corrupted without even realizing it. Jing asks if he knew about this all along, and Lu reveals that after the incident with Wang Xuan, he became suspicious and looked into it. He tells her that 3 years ago, Yao became a mistress for some influential figure. Despite coming from an average family that had saved frugally for her education, Yao believed she was too young and beautiful for her poor family. She befriended Jing because she felt superior, but when Wang Zhan, the boy Yao liked, fell for Jing instead, her jealousy drove her to do terrible things. Lu warns Jing to stay away from people like Yao, as it will make her life easier. Jing reflects on Lu's words, wondering if she could have done something earlier to change the outcome. A few days later at school, a group of students gathers, discussing rumors that some people had died there. One student mentions that they heard people jumped from a building, which is terrifying. Another student comments that after this, who would dare stay in the dorms? As Jing is processing this, she receives a message from Yao saying that, just as she wanted, they are all dead. Jing is horrified, thinking about how this could have happened, and wondering if Yao is responsible for the deaths of the guys who were with them at the reservoir. As she is deep in thought, Fang appears and calls out to her several times, but she doesn't respond. Frustrated, he pinches her cheeks, and Jing tells him that it hurts. He scolds her for ignoring him, saying he's been calling her for a while. She apologizes, explaining that she was lost in thought. He then asks her where it is, and when she asks what he means, he pinches her cheeks again, this time asking for meat. She hands him some beef jerky, which he eats happily, commenting on how delicious it is. Jing tells him to stop littering and notices that he's aware of what's happening around them. He then informs her that no one actually died at the school. Surprised, she asks what he means, and he explains that when a person dies, an impure aura is usually released, but there's no such aura on the school grounds. Jing asks if the police are there because someone saw people jump, questioning how that can be explained. He tells her that those people didn't actually die at the school, reminding her that he is still an eminent mortal and would be able to see through something like this. She asks why they didn't die at the school, and he says that even though he is an immortal and above such things, he can't stand to see something as dirty as this. He advises her to think carefully, asking if they might have offended someone who cast a spell on them, causing them to die before the incident. Jing considers whether this could be related to the events at the reservoir and wonders why Yao is unharmed. Jing runs off, determined to get to the bottom of the situation at school. Meanwhile, Yao accuses Jing of bringing disaster upon them by bringing L, Longing, a demon, with her, and blames Jing for the boys' deaths. Jing accuses Yao of lying, stating that she saw L, Longing absorbing the female ghost's essence and also from the boys. Jing wonders why L, Longing didn't conceal himself and questions why he didn't take her essence. Yao responds that it's because they're best friends and he wouldn't want to hurt her. Jing argues that L, Longing is an immortal and can't recklessly kill without jeopardizing his cultivation. Yao counters, claiming that he cast a spell on the boys, allowing them to live for 2 more days, creating the illusion that they jumped off the building. Jing, Yao, and Fun Keatons assert that the boys didn't die on that day, with all the evidence pointing to L Longing. Jing wonders if he truly is what Yao claims. Yao taunts Jing, saying she never stood a chance against her, and points out that Wang Swan and L Longing both prefer her over Jing. Jing later arrives at L Ling's house to find prepared food and wonders if he made it for her. He greets her, telling her to wash her hands and sit down to eat, mentioning that he made the prawn she loves. Jing, still troubled by Yao's words, observes L Longing's behavior and begins to doubt him. Longing notices her unhappiness and asks if she's feeling unwell. She dismisses it as being tired from school. Suddenly, L Longing kisses her and hugs her tightly. Jing wonders why he's acting this way and whether he's noticed something. He asks if she likes him. She responds affirmatively to avoid raising suspicion. He then questions whether she would still like him if he did something without her knowing. Bai Jing begins to wonder if he really did kill the boys, as Yana had claimed. L Longing admits to killing the boys and absorbing their essences, leaving Bai Jing shocked. She asks him why human lives mean so little to him and why he didn't take her essence. He confesses that he's a monster who feeds on human essences. Bai Jing, confused and upset, questions how an immortal like him could do such a thing, even punching him in frustration. He grabs her hand and admits that he wants to live with her in this life, not wait for the next one. Bai Jing is bewildered by his words. He tells her she doesn't need to know too much, only that everything he's doing is for her. She thinks about it and realizes that he truly must care for her. Otherwise, why would he go to such lengths, protecting her while harming others to maintain their relationship? As she hugs him in return, she asks if she can trust him, but before she can fully process her thoughts, Ying Lu assigns them several tasks involving hideous zombies and a woman in a coffin. Thankfully, she has both Lu Longing and Funk Kitchen by her side, and even an incompetent disciple like herself can exorcise evil spirits with their help. But then, Ya dies. Bai Jing is on her way to class when she receives a phone call from Yana and sees her jump from a school building right in front of her. On the phone, Yai accuses Bai Jing of driving her to suicide, even threatening to haunt her as a ghost. Everyone rushes to help Ya, calling for an ambulance as she sits there in shock. Bai Jing is left wondering how this could have happened, crying as she processes the situation. Funk Kitchen appears and gently covers her eyes while they're at Lu Ling's apartment. He tells her that God determines human fate and that Yana's suicide had nothing to do with her. He advises her not to blame herself, though she can't help but wonder if he'd feel the same way if he knew about the grudge between her and Ya. In the end, she still feels partially responsible for Yana's death. She thinks that if she had never met L Longing or gone to the reservoir, none of this would have happened. Lu tells her that Yu was caught on camera with her sugar daddy, and the news spread throughout the school. Unable to bear the shame, she took her own life. He assures Bai Jing that it's not her fault. Suddenly, Bai Jing throws her glass and grabs Lu by the collar, demanding to know if he was the one who spread the video and threatened Ya, causing her death. Lu Longing is stunned and asks if that's how she sees him, as a sinister, despicable person who would do something so low. Bai Jing is taken aback, then apologizes, admitting that her mind is a mess and she's not thinking clearly. Lu, still hurt, tells her to go ahead and assume it was him since she seems to think he's such a terrible person. Before she can stop him, he storms out, slamming the door behind him. Fun Kishin tells her that she accused the wrong person this time. Since that incident, Lu Longing has avoided her for several days. Bai Jing starts to wonder if she really did misunderstand him but doesn't know how to ask for his forgiveness. She picks up her phone, thinking about how he's been avoiding her, and wonders if he's being petty. It's been so many days, and he still hasn't calmed down. She debates whether to call him to apologize or act as if nothing is wrong and try to talk normally. She considers telling him that Yingyu has given them a new task, but she's uncertain about what to do. As she's lost in thought, her phone rings, and she quickly checks it, thinking it must be Lu. To her surprise, it's her grandmother calling. She answers, and her grandmother asks when she's coming home, mentioning that there's someone at Bai Jing's house to see her. Her grandmother tells her that the young man is quite handsome and seems like a respectable guy. She asks if he has a girlfriend. Bai Jing responds by asking if her grandmother wants to see him and find out who he is. The man introduces himself as JNZ and apologizes for his unannounced visit. He explains that he is a disciple of Feng Qixin and has come specifically to take Qixin with him. Bai Jing is surprised, thinking this could be the disciple Yang Gu had mentioned earlier. She then remarks that Qixin has such a handsome and well-mannered disciple, and jokes that it would be great if he could take him away, otherwise, Qixin will keep nagging her until she loses her hair. She agrees to his request, offering to give him a piece of paper, when suddenly Qixin appears, asking what she just said while grabbing her. He demands to know how she could just hand him over to someone else like that. She is caught off guard and explains that his disciple has come, as she promised Yang Gu to temporarily look after him. At that moment, Lu Ling arrives, and Qixin points out that he's already here. Bai Jing blushes and wonders when he returned. Shu apologizes for not picking Qixin up at Mount Jiang as planned, explaining that he was delayed and by the time he arrived, someone else had already taken Qixin. He searched for a long time before finally locating him here. Shu asks Qixin to return with him, but Qixin refuses. Both Lu and Bai Jing question his decision. Qixin replies that the bond between them has ended, and Bai Jing is now his disciple. Shu admits his fault and promises to make it up to her, insisting that Qixin, as an esteemed immortal, cannot live in such a place. He explains that he has arranged better accommodations and urges Qixin to come with him. Bai Jing observes the interaction and thinks that usually, an immortal and their disciple get along after spending time together. Judging by Qixin's attitude, she wonders if Shu has done something to disappoint him. Her grandmother assures Shu that they will take good care of Qixin, but Shu angrily responds that she doesn't understand how important Qixin is to him and insists he must take him back today. He then kneels, admitting his mistakes, and begs Qixin to let the past go and come back with him, even banging his head on the floor. Bai Jing considers how to handle the situation, knowing that immortals are usually soft-hearted, and Qixin likely can't stand to see his disciple suffer. Bai Jing tells Shu that if Qixin doesn't want to return, he should leave. She points out that Shu didn't show up when needed, so it's natural for Qixin to have changed his mind. She believes that, despite not knowing Qixin well, he must have a reason for staying, and she can't stand seeing beautiful men suffer. Shu, however, shouts at her, threatening to kill her if she speaks again. Lu Ling, enraged, grabs Shu and slams him against the wall, daring him to repeat his threat. Bai Jing intervenes, telling Lu to stop. Shu, calming down, says it's fine and that they should all wait because he will return. Lu glares at Shu, while Bai Jing holds him back. Afterward, Qixin hugs Bai Jing, calling her the best and telling her he knew she wouldn't let him go. He promises, as a reward, not to bother her anymore and that when he ascends, he will take her with him so she won't have to endure hardships on earth. Bai Jing laughs and Lu, feeling jealous, walks away. She calls after him, telling Qixin to wait for her as she runs after Lu, asking why he's walking so fast and if he's upset. Lu denies being angry, and when she asks if he's jealous, he quickly turns and questions why he would be. Bai Jing smiles, teasing him about leaving when Qixin was being sweet with her. Lu replies that he didn't want to interrupt Qixin's ascension to immortality with her, telling her to hurry up and join him while asking why she's staying with him. Bai Jing smiles to herself, thinking that she knows he's jealous and finds him adorable. As they walk together that night, Bai Jing jokes that if she ascended with Qixin, the jealous person she left behind would surely explode. Lu asks who this jealous person is, and Bai Jing wonders aloud who keeps asking her if she likes him. Maybe someone loves her so much that they can't imagine life without her. Lu Lan King remains quiet at first, then suddenly yells at her, insisting he doesn't love her at all and that she's the one who owes him. He accuses her family of eating his fiancée and demands compensation. Bai Jing feels a bit uneasy, thinking he really doesn't seem to have much of a conscience. She also muses that he shouldn't expect her to beg him to stay in the future. As she eats, she emits a strong, dark energy. While she vents her frustration, Fun Kitchen comments that the bread she's eating is innocent and asks what's bothering her. She confesses that it's about Lu longing, explaining how he keeps asking if she likes him, but when she finally confesses, he turns around and says he doesn't love her. Kitchen is doubtful, remarking that if he didn't care for her, he wouldn't stick around and act so intimately. Bai Jing angrily replies that Lu keeps bringing up how her family killed his fiancée, and now everything she does is somehow expected of her. Kitchen is puzzled and asks how her family could have killed his fiancée, noting that it's rare for immortal animals to let go of grudges so easily. He even suggests that Lu's fiancée must have been tough to deal with, so it's strange her family managed to kill her at all. Bai Jing explains that they weren't officially married, just engaged, and when her mother was pregnant with her, Lu claimed that her mother nearly miscarried but survived only by eating his fiancée. Kitchen points out another inconsistency. How could a normal family have eaten a cultivated snake, and why didn't the snake's family seek revenge? Instead, it was only Lu who came after them. Bai Jing considers that he has a point. It doesn't make sense that the snake's family never appeared, which suggests there might be more to the story. Just then, Bai Jing receives a call from her mother, who immediately asks if something is wrong. Bai Jing hesitates before asking her mother about the snake she ate 20 years ago, wanting to know where it came from. Her mother explains that when she was pregnant, she slipped and almost lost the baby, but a man gave her a snake, telling her to eat it if she wanted to keep the baby. Bai Jing asks her mother if she remembers what the man looked like, and her mother recalls that he was very handsome with fair skin, like a celebrity. Bai Jing wonders if this man could have been Lu Longing. She sends her mother a photo of Lu to confirm. Her mother, although uncertain after all these years, says that the man in the picture does look like him. Bai Jing is shocked, her phone slipping from her hands and breaking. She thinks to herself that unless Lu has an identical twin, it's impossible for someone to look exactly the same. The revelation is disturbing. He saved her pregnant mother yet now accuses her family of killing his fiancée. He also forced himself into her dreams and now denies any feelings for her. Lu Longing asks if Bai Jing has been investigating him, and she tells him she doesn't need to. She called her mother, and it was he who fed his fiancée to her. As she slams the table, he asks what else she discovered. Bai Jing replies that she knows enough for now, but promises to uncover the full story in time. Lu responds that there's no need for further investigation. He will tell her everything. He stands up and approaches her, but Bai Jing insists that if he wants to talk, he should sit down. Suddenly, Lu pins her against the wall, confessing that he does like her, but because he can't have her, he plans to ruin her current life. He declares that his revenge will be making her carry his child, so she will always feel disgusted thinking of him. Bai Jing is stunned, wondering if she misheard. Lu then asks if she doesn't hate him, claiming she doesn't think he's worthy. He promises to show her that the pain of being stained by filth is worse than death. He shakes her violently, and Bai Jing realizes that Lu's behavior has been erratic and his words increasingly strange. He forces her onto the floor, tying her up and telling her that one day she'll want to tear him apart for how he humiliates her. As Lu begins undressing, Bai Jing unexpectedly disagrees with his assumptions, which catches him off guard. He grabs her by the throat, demanding if she truly feels nothing for him. Bai Jing calmly asks who he's really talking to. Lu is taken aback when she embraces him, telling him she forgives his moment of madness. She reassures him that whatever happened in his past life has nothing to do with her, as she is Bai Jing. She promises not to harm him and says she would never want to kill him. She declares that, as his disciple, she has fallen for Lu Longing, the man who was wounded for her and who gets jealous over her. Lu is shocked, realizing that Bai Jing has feelings for him. He then hugs her tightly, confessing that he loves her too. In that moment, Bai Jing isn't sure if Lu Longing is being sincere, but she hopes that for just an instant, their hearts are in sync. Afterward, Bai Jing asks if he's back to his senses and why he tied her up, complaining that it hurts. Lu, looking at her, says he never imagined she'd have a thing for this kind of situation. He then explains that snakes wrap themselves around their prey, suffocating them before enjoying the kill. Grabbing her, he declares that she is now his prey. Bai Jing, exasperated, tells him to stop tormenting her and just get it over with. He smiles, remarking that it seems like his bride is growing impatient, which takes her by surprise. He then tells her he won't hold back any longer. She urges him to control himself, noting that her clothes are starting to tear, and she screams in frustration. Lu, however, calmly tells her to save her energy for later. Afterward, Bai Jing questions Lu longing, reminding him that he once said he was obsessed with her in her past life. She presses him to reveal who she was back then. As he holds her, she continues to insist, and eventually, he looks at her and decides there's no reason to keep it hidden anymore. Lu tells her that in her past life, she was Lady Silverflower, one of the three major gods with the power to bestow titles. However, due to offending someone she shouldn't have, she was exiled to Earth. Bai Jing reflects on this, thinking that although she had a vague idea, hearing him confirm it is still a shock. She then asks if her exile means that if she dies in this life, her soul won't be able to ascend, leaving her trapped on Earth forever. She shudders at the thought of becoming a wandering ghost and wonders how someone as important as she was in her past life could have been exiled. At that moment, Lu throws himself onto the bed, explaining that she offended her husband, who personally banished her. Bai Jing is stunned. Her husband? She realizes that not only was she married, but Lu Longing had fallen in love with her anyway, leading her to question the absurdity of the situation. She then asks Lu who her husband was in that past life. As she waits for an answer, he lies there in silence, and when she presses him, demanding to know how he can just go back to sleep, he pulls her toward him and comes on top of her. Lu declares that none of it matters now because, in this life, she belongs only to him. Since she promised to love him, he tells her not to dig too deeply into her past. The next day at school, in the art room, the teacher reminds everyone that they can ask him for help after class if they don't understand something and emphasizes the importance of finishing their homework. The teacher, Mr. Wyong, then approaches Bai Jing, telling her she can come to him if she ever needs help, to which she smiles. Her classmate teases her, suggesting that the teacher might be giving her special treatment because he's interested in her. Bai Jing dismisses the comment, saying it's nonsense because she has a boyfriend. Her classmate is surprised and asks when that happened, to which Bai Jing thinks that while she can't be entirely sure, she's probably not considered single. As she walks, someone calls out to her, and Wang Zhen informs her that a girl who admires her is looking for her. Bai Jing turns around just as a girl with an unsettling aura greets her and introduces herself as Fan Mikey. Fan eagerly tells Bai Jing that she's happy to finally meet her and asks if it's true that Bai Jing can exorcise demons. Bai Jing awkwardly laughs it off, saying that Fan must be mistaken since there's no way she could do something like that. However, Fan leans in and whispers that she can see demons and that there are many ghosts on campus who come out at night. She adds that she can also see Bai Jing's true nature. Bai Jing is startled, and Fan asks if she's right. Bai Jing starts to panic, wondering if her identity has somehow been revealed, but Fan doesn't seem particularly dangerous. Just then, Fun Kishin informs Bai Jing that Fan indeed has the third eye, allowing her to see things others cannot. Fan reassures Bai Jing not to be afraid of her, explaining that she's not there to hurt her, but to ask for her help. Fan goes on to say that there's someone she needs to save, though the person in question is neither human, ghost, nor immortal. Fan admits that she's unsure of his true nature, only that he is something her village worships. Fan explains that the villagers plan to demolish the temple during road construction in a few months. She pleads for help so she can see this being one last time before the temple is gone. Bai Jing empathizes, understanding that once a deity is no longer useful to people, they are often abandoned. She recognizes Fan's sorrow but also realizes that getting involved in the village's road repairs might cause trouble, especially as an outsider. Fan, desperate, grasps Bai Jing's hand, tearfully explaining that she hasn't seen the being in over a year, and if the temple is destroyed, all hope will be lost. Bai Jing, touched by Fan's plea, feels conflicted. Despite Fun Kishin's suggestion to prioritize monetary gain, Bai Jing's sense of compassion prevails. As Fan expresses her gratitude, Bai Jing once again exudes an eerie aura, hinting at the power she holds. The following day, as they near Ava village, Bai Jing asks Fan to slow down and offers to help with her belongings, but Fan politely declines, saying the load isn't heavy. Bai scolds Fan Kishin for not assuming human form and leaving them to suffer, but Kishin, maintaining his pride as an eminent immortal, refuses to do manual labor and urges them to hurry because he's hungry. As they continue, they encounter Lu Longing, who warns Bai to stay close, suggesting Fan might have supernatural abilities. When they arrive at a cottage, Fan introduces Bai Jing and Lu longing to her parents. Inside, Bai Jing notices how dim it is and asks for lights, but Fan's mother apologizes, explaining that it's a village custom. She then invites them to eat. Although Bai Jing is hungry, she feels uneasy, especially when thinking about the reaction her hosts might have to their daughter's possible death during dinner. If you like this video, please subscribe, leave a like and comment for the next part.